In tonight's edition, would you pay $5,000 just to gain a temporary study visa for Australia? Well, if the Liberals win power, such a record fee may well be on the table. Stay tuned for this story and more. Would you be prepared to spend $5,000 on a student visa application to come to Australia? Well, if the Liberal Party led by Peter Dutton comes into power, that's likely to be the new fee if you plan to study at any of the Group of 8 universities here. The Group of 8 comprises Australia's leading research-intensive universities: the University of Melbourne, the Australian National University, the University of Sydney, the University of Queensland, the University of Western Australia, the University of Adelaide, Monash University, and the University of New South Wales in Sydney. In addition, if you transfer from one provider to another, it might cost you an additional $2,500, and this charge will probably not be limited to the Group of 8. It is unclear whose pocket this fee will end up in, but it most likely will be the federal government's. These higher application fees and additional charges are part of the Liberal Party's plan to reduce the number of international students in Australia to 240,000, which is 30,000 less than the Labor's target of 270,000. On Thursday night, in his budget reply speech, Peter Dutton promised that if elected, he will introduce what's called a Lower Immigration and More Homes for Australia Bill.
Australians are generous and welcoming people, but they want migration to be sustainable and the government to be in control of it. Labor is neither in control of migration, nor has it kept migration at sustainable levels, and Australians know it. I don't want young Australians locked out of the property market or having to rely on the bank of mum and dad. I want to see fewer Australians homeless and more Australians in homes. Mr Speaker, under Labor, migration will continue to put pressure on housing, on infrastructure and on services. But under the Coalition, we will cut the migration intake to free up housing and restore the great Australian dream of home ownership. We will cut the permanent migration program by 25%. We will ban foreign investors and temporary residents from purchasing existing Australian homes for a period of 2 years. We will set stricter caps on foreign students to relieve stress on rental markets. And we will invest $5 billion in essential infrastructure to get stalled housing projects up and going. And it's going to create 500,000 new homes.
However, the opposition party is still to detail which 25% of the permanent migration program will be on the chopping block, something he was pressed upon shortly after his speech when he was interviewed for the ABC's 7:30 report.
The composition of the program will explain, but when Labor is bringing in likely more than 2 million people,
why can't you
over
explain
a 5-year
why can't
period,
you've announced a target, why can't you explain how you're going to do it now?
We'll explain the breakdown of the numbers, but the point is that we bring it down by 25%. It's at 185,000 a year now. We bring it down to 140,000 in years 1 and 2. It goes up to 160,000 by year 4.
I'm sure the Liberals know all too well that if they take aim at the family component of the migration program, such as spouse and parent visas, these Australian sponsors may well switch their votes. If they plan to cut the skilled migration program and deny temporary workers the promise of access to permanent residency, then many of their business allies may not be so pleased. Of course, there is a question of whether the 25% cut would even be necessary, given that recent figures indicate that the net migration numbers are declining rapidly. The ABC presented an article on this topic whereby a graph created by the prominent researcher Peter MacDonald demonstrates that in reality we are nearly back to pre-pandemic planned net migration numbers. My guess is that if the Liberals come into power with their tough anti-migration stance, which they know is a vote winner, they may ultimately back down on their proposed 25% cut to permanent migration, citing the significant recent drop in the net migration numbers. As for who I prefer to win the election, well, both parties have their strengths and weaknesses. However, my primary concern is that we don't start giving away permanent residency just for money like this fellow is.
The trump card, gold card.
Who's the first buyer?
Me.
This week, the South Australian Government unveiled its new support program for migrants willing to make the move there. Named the Skilled Migration Talent and Industry Connection Program, the initiative aims to engage potential and new skilled migrants, ensuring they have the best opportunities to utilise the skills for which they were selected. The South Australian Government has partnered with 6 organisations to not only attract new skilled migrants to the state, but also to provide a crucial networking environment to support these migrants. These 6 resource programs include training and networking events and will be run by the Masters Builders Association, the Australian Migrant Resource Centre, the Committee for Adelaide, the South Australian Business Chamber, Skills Smart Careers and Community Corporate. One of the first things I noticed was the slick marketing campaigns, particularly the upbeat video from the Masters Builders Association. Well, if that doesn't motivate you to move out there, then nothing will. Now let's take a quick look at processing times. These are all taken from the average median times of 50%. The 189 visa is listed at approximately 3 months, while the 190 visa remains stubbornly high at 21 months, which is similar to the 491 visa. The 191 visa is hovering around the unacceptable 12 months, and its predecessor, the 887 visa, is now decreased to 8 months. The prospective partner fiancé visa is holding steady at 13 months, and the 309 and 820 temporary partner visas have seen slight increases to 15 months and 13 months, respectively. The direct entry 186 visa is currently showing a processing time of 13 months, while the transition stream is also reflecting a similar time frame of about 14 months. Well, it's late on Saturday night after a busy week of travelling, so sorry for the show coming out later than normal. And for that nice fellow at the Sydney airport shop who recognised me, thanks for supporting the show. As always, take care out there and I will see you next time, so bye for now.